right, stand to your feet tonight. Turn to page 177. Page 177. Are you washed in the blood as we sing? Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing fire? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you fully trusting in His great desire? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood, in the soul-cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you walking daily by the Savior's side? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Steve's rolling in the cruising by. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Oh, are you washed in the blood, in the soul-cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Lay aside the garments that are stained with sin, and be washed in the blood of the Lamb. There's a fountain flowing for the soul, unclean or washed in the blood of the Lamb. Oh, are you washed in the blood, in the soul-cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Good to be in church tonight. Sure enjoyed the meal. Those that fixed it tonight, thank you very much. I was just glad it wasn't spaghetti. My, well, I say that with purpose. My wife said today at lunch, said we probably gonna have spaghetti tonight because they had called and asked about hamburger. Well, we were in the process of eating pasta, and we ate pasta last night for supper, and I thought, I just don't know that I can handle another plate of pasta. So I was thankful it wasn't spaghetti. It was good, excellent, but spaghetti is not my favorite. A lot of y'all like spaghetti, don't you? Yeah, I do not. Not unless it's baked with about that much cheese on top of it. So, you got to do something to make it good. Put ketchup on anything, it'll work. Oh, I won't tell y'all what all I've tried ketchup on. All right, Acts chapter 2 tonight. Do our verse together. Start with verse number 42 down through verse number 47. Verse number 42. And they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking of bread and in prayers. And fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. And all that believed were together and had all things common, and sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men as every man had need. They, continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising God and having favor with all people. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. Amen. You can be seated this evening. We're going to take prayer requests, come around the altar tonight, and have a season of prayer. Tonight, please remember Miss Cindy and Eric Wright, and they had a house fire. That's Miss Terry's daughter, and so remember them in prayer tonight. And then also Miss Sue Rogers, her husband passed away, Larry. So remember them in prayer as well. Somebody else tonight. Half of them sitting with their coats on, the other half's fanning. You about to burn up. Just like a bunch of Baptists, we couldn't all be on the same page and satisfied for nothing. So, any other prayer requests tonight? Good.
Praise the Lord.
Good.
Amen.
Friday. I'm gonna call him about every 30 minutes, just see how he's doing. Oh. Oh. Oh, sometimes I think we get too close to the church. Somebody else have their hand up tonight? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Remember their cat. Yes, ma'am.
A good friend, Debbie Klutz, is still continuing to heal from her surgery last week.
She is. She's doing well. She's been calling me, won't leave me alone. That's how I know she's doing well. I'm just kidding. No, she really has done well. Miss Shana is here tonight. I was shocked to see her, and so that's a blessing as well. I told her we were making plans to come see her, and Billy said, well, go ask her how she's doing. I said, what? So I am thrilled.
Amen.
Yes, sir, Brother Mike. Wow.
Amen.
It's a blessing. Amen. Yes, Brother David.
I just want to give a praise report.
Yes, sir.
I thank the Lord for saving me most of all.
Amen.
But I had asked for prayer for my neighbor about a month
Yes, sir.
ago. They found 2 places in his lungs and 2 on his brain. He took 4 treatments of chemo. He went back, took 4 more, and he hasn't got sick yet. But the praise part of it is, God still answers prayer.
Yeah.
He went week 4 last, they did a MRI on his brain. One tumor is completely gone on his brain, and the other one is shrunk.
Amen.
I thank the Lord for prayer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's not out of the woods, but he's
Right.
in his yard every day like that.
Amen. Yes.
And he accepted the Lord in this situation.
That's awesome.
Amen.
That is a blessing.
Praise the Lord.
Can you pray for Miss Judy Weaver as well?
Preacher, I got a cousin on my dad's side. She's struggling real bad with addiction. Her name's Jennifer. Pray for her.
Sure will.
Just remember my coworker, her name is Cynthia, called an ambulance to school the other day, and of course they got figured out what's wrong with her. And she had 4 children, young children, the oldest is 10 years old, and she didn't even find around here. She's from Maine. Just remember her family.
Sure will. Always remember our church. Pray God continue to stir and move in the church. I tell you, I've had several conversations concerning this already, but I sure am thankful for our church, thankful for what the Lord's given us here. And me and my wife was talking. I've had the privilege of being in several churches over the past couple of weeks. And some of them you walk in and it's just a similar feel. I mean, you know, you walk in and you just feel at home before anything starts, before anybody says anything, you just, I mean, just I don't know how to explain it, but I've been in 2 churches this week, and man, one of them a good friend of mine. I mean, great preacher, and just a wonderful people. I mean, I'm not saying ain't nothing negative to say, but it just there's something missing, and it made me so thankful.
Absolutely.
Prophet Baptist Church, and you know, I was just up in Kentucky this week, man, and walk in there, and it can't nobody be in the building, and you just feel at home, just feel, you know, I mean, and the service starts and it's wonderful, but man, not everybody experiences that, and what I think what amazed me the most is you walk in places like that, and they don't realize it.
You're right. You're right.
It's just normal to them. I thank the Lord for what we have here, and I'm thankful for what He's done and what He gives us here. And you say, well, it's this or it's that. No, it's God.
Amen.
You don't take for granted what He does and what He's blessed and what He has His hand on. I'm not convinced for 1 minute that if it's anything we've done, or anything I've done, or anything you've done. I'll promise you, if we can get our hands on it, we'll mess it up.
That's guaranteed. Yes, sir.
It's all Him, and so we're thankful for it tonight.
Thank God.
But let's come together around the altar. Let's have a season of prayer tonight, and you do remember our church. Remember all aspects, avenues of the church, from missionaries to camp meeting, teen camp, finances. I mean, just deacons, pastor. I mean, all of it. Just pray tonight for the church and one another as well. Make sure you lift each other up in prayer tonight also. Lord, we are privileged to be in your house tonight. God, grateful for that office we have. Thankful, Lord, for Open Door Baptist Church. God, just the privilege that we have to be here, not be in meeting tonight. We're thankful, Lord, for the Spirit of God, the liberty that He has here, Lord, that you have here. And I pray, God, not just liberty in the building, but, Lord, liberty in our hearts. God, that you can do whatever's needed tonight, and that you can stir our hearts and work our hearts and mold them any way you need to tonight. God, me specifically, Lord, I pray, God, that I would be just the clay in the potter's hand, Lord, that you might mold me any way you need to. God, you do what needs to be done in my life to get me where I need to be. Lord, I know within myself there's no good thing. Anything good of me is you. And so tonight, it's not that I need to put my best foot forward, or I need to do better. It's not this that I need more of you. God, that I need to give attention to what you say and what you want, Lord. I need to follow hard after you, Lord. That be our desire, God, that we would be obedient. God, that we would seek after you is all that is within us. I do pray, God, that you'd bless this service tonight. Lord, that you'd have your hand on all that's said and done. Lord, may you help the choir. God, be with them as they sing tonight. Help them to sing in unction and power, Lord. Help them to sing, God, to the best of their ability, top of their lungs tonight. May they rejoice through song, Lord, in what you've done for them in salvation. I pray, God, give them the opportunity tonight to preach, Lord, that you'd preach us in power and unction, Lord, hide us behind the cross. God, may it not be us that is seen and heard tonight, but God, may it be you. And may your words be ever piercing to our heart. And may we be reminded of how wonderful you are and just the gospel of Christ tonight. I ask you, Lord, to be with these requests that was mentioned. Lord, there's many that sick and physically in need tonight. There's those that have experienced a house fire. And God, those that have went through surgeries. And God, we're thankful for all the praise reports we've heard tonight. God, we're grateful for those that acknowledge that you're still working and that you're still in the miracle working business. God, we're grateful that we get to rejoice with those and ask you, God, to continue to bless in their lives and accomplish what's needed. God, I pray tonight, Lord, for those that are waiting, those that are out. God, there's plenty of people here represented tonight that have waiting children. And I pray, God, that you go to where their kids are tonight and get a hold of them and deal with their heart concerning where they're at with you. And I pray, Lord, that you would just continue work in that way in those areas. And just bring them back. Get them where they need to. Again, we ask you to bless in this service. Accomplish what needs to be done tonight. God, oftentimes I believe we God, you can see tomorrow. You can see ahead. You know what I stand in need of tonight. You know what these people stand in need of. I pray, God, that you can give us exactly what it is that we need to consider staying, Lord, where we're supposed to and accomplishing what we should. We ask everything that we've asked tonight in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
comes down.
Amen. Great singing tonight. Great singing. So, all right, I'm going to try to do these announcements. I'm sure I'll leave something off, so y'all help me. November the 19th, Friday night's the teen activity. Do not forget about that. December the 3rd, right, is the junior jumpers going to Denton Farm Park. So do not forget about that as well. Those sign-up sheets are on the back table back there. Anything? December 8th. Oh, our Christmas dinner is Wednesday, December the 8th. So do not forget about that also. Instead of doing a Thanksgiving and a Christmas dinner, we wait and do a combined dinner, and that'll be Wednesday, December the 8th. And so we'll bring a covered dish dinner. The church will do the turkeys and the hams, something meat-wise that night. And then we will just bring the fixings to go along with that, and we'll have our Wednesday evening meal and time of fellowship out there, and we'll not come over here that night. We'll just spend an extended amount of time over there. Thankmas. We'll have our Thankmas dinner then. So that'll be December the 8th. Now, Saturday, is that right? November the 20th? What time? Is that a Saturday? 10? 10 this morning?
Ish. Real heavy on the ish.
All right, November the 20th. It's a Saturday, 10 o'clock that morning. The ladies are going to meet and pray again, and they had a good time with that last time, and they're going to meet and pray again for the ladies' meeting. And so if you'd like to be a part of that and just praying for the ladies' meeting before it gets here in March, is that correct? Yes, March the 5th. So we've been hanging around David too long. That is David language. So it is the 5, it is the 4, the 3. It's not the 3rd, it's not the 2nd. It's the number. So anyway, but they're going to meet November the 20th and have prayer. So if you'd like to be a part of that, come on out and be a part of that, ladies. We'd encourage you to do so. All right, you can be seated tonight, and I think Miss Kayla's going to come start our singing off. So you pray for her this evening. I don't know why I made you stand for the announcement. If I had to stand, you did.
Morning by morning,
Yes, amen.
been looking back along this winding road to the old familiar markers of the mercies I have known. I know it may sound simple, but it's more than a cliche. There's no better way to tell you than to say God's been good in my life. I feel blessed beyond my wildest dreams as I go to sleep each night. And though I've had my share of hard times, I wouldn't change them if I could. 'Cause through it all, God's been good. Times were playing, I could see that I cried some bitter tears, but I felt His arms around me as I faced my greatest fears. You see, I've had more gains than losses, and I've known more joy than hurt as His grace rolled down upon me undeserved. God's been good in my life. I feel blessed beyond my wildest dreams as I go to sleep each night. And though I've had my share of hard times, I wouldn't change them if I could. 'Cause through it all, God's been good. And though I've had my share of hard times, I wouldn't change them if I could. 'Cause through it all, God's been
All right, the book of Psalms tonight, Psalm 23. I'm going to preach Caleb Lindsay's message. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But this has been on my heart ever since Sunday. And we'll get to where we're going in just a second. And tell you why. I do want to mention tonight, tomorrow is Veterans Day. I want to say thank you to all the veterans here. Now we're going to take some time Sunday and recognize the veterans, and we'll have a gift for them and everything. We'll do that Sunday, and I wanted to do that during a Sunday service instead of a Wednesday. But I did want to take just a minute tonight and say thank you to our veterans here at the church. Appreciate your service. Do not take that for granted. We are thankful for it. And again, I hope you'll be here Sunday and maybe some more along with you. And we're going to take a few minutes to recognize you and have a little gift for you on Sunday, all right? So, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Uh-huh. All right, Psalm 23 tonight. We're going to read these 6 verses. I know you just heard them Sunday, but there was a portion of this that just kind of has stuck with me that I couldn't shake, couldn't get rid of, and so we've been pondering it and just couldn't get away from it. And so Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for Thou art with me. Thy rod and Thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. As we look at this psalm, I am, as Brother Caleb said, I'm not going to give you anything new tonight. I mean, there's been so much preaching and so many times that even myself, I've heard this psalm preached that I would not be able to do justice to what some of the preachers have done with this psalm. But just by way of introduction, I want to break it down and look at each verse in it real quickly. And I want to get to the last verse and bring out something that the Lord has put in my heart this week. I want you to see, first of all, though, in verse number 1, as He is our shepherd, I want you to see the person of the shepherd. Get a hold tonight who this shepherd is. He said, the Lord is my shepherd. Do you realize what we have tonight in a shepherd? It could be that He would allow an angel to be our shepherd. It could be that He would have delegated that responsibility and that duty to somebody else, and that He would have them to care for us and them to feed us and them to provide for us. But He said, the Lord is my shepherd. It is that God Himself is interested enough in us that He wants to be our shepherd, that He wants to provide for us, that He wants to take care of us, that He wants to be the one leading us. It'd be easy for Him to delegate that to somebody else tonight, but the reality is, it is that the God of glory, that the holy, righteous God of heaven is interested in you and I. Amen. So much so that the psalmist wrote and said, the Lord is my shepherd. You realize what we have tonight in a shepherd? I mean, whenever you begin to consider the responsibilities and the duties of a shepherd, and you begin to consider we as the sheep, what He does for us, you realize tonight that we have a perfect shepherd. I mean, He doesn't make any mistakes. He doesn't do anything wrong. And what we have in that perfect shepherd is altogether wonderful. The Lord is my shepherd. I would remind us tonight that He is our shepherd. He is the one that is taking care of us. See, not only the person of the shepherd, but in verses 1 and verse number 2, and then also in verse number 5, we see the provision of the shepherd. He said, He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. In verse number 5, He said, Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Verse number 1, He closes it out, I shall not want. See the satisfaction of this provision. I mean, He opens up with it. The Lord is my shepherd, and because He's my shepherd, I shall not want. I won't want for food. I won't want for water. I won't want for green pasture. I won't want for rest. I won't want for protection. Why? Because of who my shepherd is. He is a providing shepherd tonight. We see His provision, and it is completely satisfying. I mean, there is nowhere that He would lack in taking care of the sheep. He is making sure that we have what we need, when we need it, where we need it. He's our provision tonight. It's not only the provision of the shepherd is satisfying, but it's continual. He said, He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me. He maketh me. It is that it is continual. That ETH ending on the end of those words, it is a continual thing. It is continually happening. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. This is not something that He has done for us one time and then threw us out to the pasture, put up a fence and said, all right, here you are. No, this is something He does on a daily basis. This is something that He does all the time. You remember where David was whenever Samuel went to go find him and anoint him as king? He was watching the sheep. He was separated from the family. He wasn't with the rest of the brothers. The rest of the brothers had done been called up and come in, but somebody had to stay with the sheep. It was a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job. There was no time off. There was no possibility of a vacation. It was that you were constantly watching those sheep. It is a continual provision. He is constantly providing for us. He's not provided for me today and going to leave me alone for a while and expect me to do it by myself for a while and expect me to no, He's going to provide for me every day. I see that it's before my enemies. He has spread a table. My provision is in the presence of mine enemies. In my darkest times, in my most needful times, in the presence of those that would want to hurt and defile and destroy, God says, here what I'll do. I won't just feed you. I'm going to set up a table. and I'm going to let you sit down and feast. And you're going to get to pull up a chair and sit. Man, we're not having to scavenge on the run. We're not having to do like Gideon did and go down to the water and sup with one hand while we hold our sword in our other hand. He said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set out a spread, and I'm going to let you sit down in the presence of your enemies and let you feast. Man, think about the provision that God is providing us with. Man, if we'd just sat down at the table, maybe some of those burdens we're carrying would lift off. If we just sat down at the table and begin to eat, maybe we wouldn't be craning our neck so bad trying to figure out what's going on around us. He set a table up in the presence of our enemies. You've heard the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. He can set the table up, but he can't make us eat. And the fact is that he set a table up in the presence of our enemies. Man, we're worried they might destroy us. We're worried that they might catch up to us. We're worried that they might attack us. And David said, I tell you what I'm doing around my enemies. I'm going to be eating. Why? Because God set me a table up. Man, we get so worked up in trying to fight our own battles and trying to deal with our own confliction and deal with our own. And man, well, don't you realize what they're doing and don't you see what they're doing? Well, last time I checked, God's got this. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. He don't need my help. He don't need me to fight that battle. He's got this battle. He can take care of this. All I've got to do is sit down at the table. I'll feast while he labors. Why? Because he's the shepherd. It's a table before my enemies. I see it's an overwhelming provision. Look at what he said. My cup runneth over. You know, when your cup runs over, it is an expression that you've got more than you need. It is that David looked around and he said, I may be surrounded by my enemies. I may look like I'm defeated on every side. He said, but man, I look at the blessings of God. I look at how he's provided for me. I look at how he's taken care of me. I look at how good he's been to me. He said, if I'm just going to be honest tonight, my cup runneth over. You ever get to looking around and thinking, man, it sure is bad. I mean, you start feeling miserable and you'll start, woe is me. And man, this is just the worst it's ever been. But if you ever start looking up and seeing what God's done for you and seeing how good you really do have it, how you don't deserve it and how you hadn't earned it, how you hadn't merited it and labored for it, and yet God's blessed you with it. My cup runneth over tonight. God's been far better to me than I deserve. God's given me more than I could ever begin to earn or merit or even begin to repay or thank him for. My cup runneth over tonight. God has blessed beyond what I deserve. See the provision of the shepherd. In verse number 3, I see the path of the shepherd. It said, he restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. The path that he's going to lead in, we already know that it's righteousness. You find yourself in a path that's leading to sin. You find yourself in a path that's leading to wrong. You find yourself in a path that's requiring you to do something that's not right. You're not on his path. He said his path is a path of righteousness. You know what I can't guarantee tonight? I can't guarantee that there's going to be a path, a table on the path that some of us would wander down. I can't guarantee that there's going to be a table if we're not on his path. Oh, but I can guarantee provision if we're following the shepherd. We're on his path. It's for, you know what this path is for, though? His name's sake. It ain't got nothing to do with you and me. Man, if we're not careful, we start looking at this thing and think that it's all about us and that it's all about people. And we start thinking, well, I'm doing this or I'm doing that or God wants me to do this. And this ain't got nothing to do with me and you. It's got to do with him. It's got to do with him. It is simply put tonight that we are privileged if he would allow us to have any part of anything concerning him. This is all for his name's sake. Oh, you trying to make a name for yourself? You'll fail. You're trying to build up yourself? You'll fail. He's not going to share his glory with anybody. This is all about him. See the path of the shepherd. See the promise of the shepherd. Look at it in verse number 4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And David's not necessarily here yet. I realize he's been in the presence of his enemies. I realize he could have maybe been killed at any time, but David is not necessarily on death's door at this time, and yet he is counting on a promise that in the future, that whenever he faces the valley of the shadow of death, that he will fear no evil. His person and his provision makes it so I don't have to fear even death. If I don't have to fear death tonight, why would I have to fear anything else? The greatest unknown in men's life is death. Don't know how it's going to happen. Don't know when it's going to happen. Don't know what's going to take place surrounding those events. I mean, somebody said it best, if I knew when and where I was going to die, I wouldn't show up. I mean, I wouldn't go. I'd stay away. But we don't know. And tonight, the greatest thing about it is I don't have to fear it. I don't have to worry about it. My wife would get aggravated with me sometimes. She said, you act like you're trying to get out of here early. Well, you call it what you want. I just ain't worried about it. I mean, if it happens tonight, it happens tonight. If it happens 10 years from now, it happens 10 years from now. It probably should have happened yesterday if you want to be honest about it. I mean, it's the fact that I have no fear in death. Why? Because I got a shepherd. I got a promise from a shepherd. And he promised me that I wouldn't have to fear even death. Man, if we don't have to fear death, what else do we have to fear?
Exactly right.
If he can take care of that, I'll promise he can take care of everything else. Here's what I'm interested in tonight. We'll be quick tonight. I wanted to get here. Verse number 6. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I see the partners of the shepherd. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Goodness. Things I don't deserve. Just the goodness of God that seems to be around. Mercy. Whenever ought to have judgment, there's forgiveness. When there ought to be discipline and there ought to be correction and there ought to be a mess, there's mercy. He said, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I want to preach on this thought for just a few minutes. Look who's following me. Look who's following me. You ever been driving down the road and I'll from time to time look up and say, man, look who's behind us, or look who's following us, and it'll be somebody we know, or it'll be something unusual back there, You just look up in the mirror and see it all of a sudden. You didn't know they were there. You didn't know they were behind you, and it kind of caught you off guard. It seems that way with the Lord. I mean, you turn around tonight and surely goodness and mercy are following after me. Have you realized what's taking place behind you? So many times we get so caught up in what's directly in front of us that we fail to look and see what God is taking care of behind us. May I say, first of all, tonight, with goodness and mercy following after me, they're purging my mess. They're cleaning up after me. You know how it is around the house, and many of you got youngins or have had youngins, and it seems like it's a never-ending job. I mean, it seems like you come in and you do laundry, and you come in the next day and you do more laundry, and you come in the next day and you do more laundry, and you do more laundry, and you do more laundry. And I'm like, when does it ever stop? And it don't. I mean, I'm scratching my head because my kids don't ever take showers. I have to fuss at them to tell them to get in the shower. Don't look at me like that. Ain't that right, Anita? Some of y'all, I probably shouldn't even tell this. They started it. They called one of those kids Anita. I need a shower, need a toothbrush, need a stick of deal, So anyway, I don't know how the clothes pile up, because Bless his heart, Colson. I look at him and, man, all my socks that he borrows have holes in them because he won't take them off for a week at a time. I'm like, how do we have so much laundry? You wear the same clothes all the time. Where's all this coming from? But it seems like you're just constantly cleaning up. I mean, my wife will wash all the dishes and say, all right, nobody go in the kitchen for a week because I just cleaned up the kitchen. And the next day you look in there and there's a sink full of dishes. I mean, it's just non-stop all the time. What's happening? Somebody coming behind and having to clean it. Somebody coming behind and having to pick it up. Somebody coming behind and having to take care of it. I don't know about you. Man, I get to thinking about all the mess that I've left. Seems like every day, everywhere I go, every time I do something, and it's not that I'm intentionally doing these things wrong, but it seems a lot of times like everything I touch just falls apart, and everything that I do is just a mess. And I've messed up here, and I've sinned over here, and I've done this, and yet I look back. I don't see it. What ought to be causing me trouble, what ought to be causing me turmoil, what ought to be destroying my life, it just ain't there. You say, what happened? Goodness and mercy. Been following after you. Been cleaning up your mess. Oh, you've been leaving a mess. You've been leaving it there. I know you think you're perfect and that you don't do nothing wrong, but you've been doing wrong and you've been messing up, and man, your world ought to be in so much disarray that you can't even handle what's going on. And yet you look back and you expected it to be running after you, and you expected it to be about to attack you and about to drown you and about to cover you up, and man, it looks like somebody done hired a maid. Kitchen sink's clean. The toilet's spotless and shining. The laundry's all folded and put away. You turn around and look. Goodness and mercy. Man, they've been running after you and fixing your mess and cleaning up for you and taking care of everything that you do. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow after me. Well, I'm not saying I deserve it tonight. I'm not saying it ought to be that way. But I sure am glad that it is that way. I got the shepherd leading up front. I got the shepherd trying to feed and providing me up front. I got the shepherd taking. You realize tonight we're living like kings. Somebody was talking about reincarnation and said, I want to come back like this, and I want to come back like this. And when I'm I just want to come back and be a goat. Eat anything I want and jump around all the time. Not have a care in the world. We just a bunch of sheep. We about the same. We ain't got no cares in the world. We got a shepherd leading us, protecting us, providing for us. We just got our head down, eating in the green pastures, drinking in the clear crystal water. Ain't even got to worry about what's behind us. Every time we make a mess, somebody back here to clean it up. And I don't know about you, but I sure am glad that God ain't left my messes back there. That God ain't left those things back there for everybody to see and everybody to dig through and everybody to bring up. Oh no. Surely, goodness and mercy is following after me. He's taking care of a lot of things. A lot of things that could have done me in, that could have destroyed me, that should have destroyed me. But I look back, just waiting on that ship to come in, waiting on that destruction to roll in, and don't ever happen. Don't ever happen. Surely, goodness and mercy is following after me. So what are they doing? Oh, they're cleaning up my mess. They're purging all that old mess out. And I look back, it's been pretty good. Been a good life. I ain't got it as good as some. I ain't got it as bad as others. Man, I look back and I realize just how blessed I've been. God's blessed and cleaned up all my mess behind me. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. What they doing? Purging my mess. Can I say number two? They're pushing me along. Can I just be honest with you tonight? I look back, I've been saved since I was a teenage boy at 14 years old. I surrendered to preach at 17. And I've been pastoring for 12 years, and as wonderful it's been, if I'm honest tonight, there's some times that I thought I'd just quit. Thought I'd just walk away. You say, why didn't you? I don't know. Just being honest. I don't know. I believe it was called Shirley and Goodness. Kept pushing me along. The shepherd's leading. You ever get tired and weary? Ever get worn out? Ever get fed up? Ever get defeated and discouraged and think, you know what, I just can't go no further. I just can't handle no more. I can't take any more pressure. I can't handle no more. And for some reason, you just keep going along. You just keep showing up. You just keep doing what you're supposed to. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm... Surely, goodness and mercy's following after me. Every time I'd want to stop, they'd push me along. Every time I'd want to quit, they'd nudge me to go a little bit further. That shepherd, he just constantly walking, laying out a path, leading the right way. Man, if I'm not careful, I'm just eating grass and drinking water and walking along, and every now and then I get tired. Every now and then I get maybe a hurt leg or a hurt arm, or I get discouraged and defeated, and you get wore out, and somebody just, come on, you'll be all right. Let's go. Keep up. Don't lag behind. Just keep going. What is it? Oh, it's goodness and mercy. Just pushing me along. Oh, there's times I'd want to quit. There's times I'd want to stop. There's times I'd want to lay down. But every time I'd look back, I'd realize how good God's been to me. How wonderful He has blessed me. And I'd realize there ain't nowhere to stop. There ain't no reason to quit. Surely it's been better with Him than it be without Him. Surely it's better on the path of righteousness than it be to the right or to the left. And every time I think about quitting, every time I think about stopping, I know it gets rough. I know it gets hard. But aren't you glad? Goodness and mercy just push you along a little bit. Sometimes all you need is just a little nudge. And you look back and you see goodness and mercy. You realize it'll be all right. I can go just a little bit further. I can carry on just a little bit more. Surely, goodness and mercy following after me. So what they're doing, they're purging my past. They're pushing me along. And lastly tonight, they're protecting my back. You ever notice sheep out in the field grazing? They don't seem to have a care in the world. Not a care in the world. Just eating. Just head down. They can't see what's coming to the sides. Can't see what's coming in front of them. Can't see what's coming behind them. They're not constantly looking around, paranoid, and doing. Just eating. Why? Because they know somebody's taking care of them. Got to worry about anything. Why? Because goodness and mercy's got my back. They're taking care of what I can't see. They're taking care of the enemy that would want to blindside me. They're taking care of those that would want to attack me from behind. I got the shepherd in front, guiding me and leading me and watching out for me. And in behind, I've got goodness and mercy, making sure everything's all right tonight. I don't know if we realize it or not, but we got some partners to the shepherd that's helping us out. And I'll just be honest, there'd be times that if it wasn't for goodness and mercy following after me, I don't know where I'd be. But thank God tonight, there's goodness and mercy following me. Who's following you tonight? You look back, what do you see? See a mess? You might be on the wrong path. You see the enemy running after you? Might be on the wrong path. You see a bunch of mistakes and mess up. You say, preacher, I can't just get rid of them. No, you ain't going to just get rid of them. But goodness and mercy will clean them up. Goodness and mercy will take care of it. You say, yeah, but somebody's going to remember. They'll talk about it. Let them talk. Let them talk. And goodness and mercy done cleaned it up. There ain't no evidence for them to see it. Ain't no evidence for them to show. Why? It's done been cleaned up. done been taken care of. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. I love this last part of it. All the days of my life. You say, well, get up tomorrow, they may not be there. They'll be there. You say, yeah, but I'm pushing 70, 80, 90 years old. They'll be there. Why? He said they'd be there all the days of my life. Nothing to worry about as long as surely goodness and mercy are following after me. Let's stand tonight. I appreciate you being here on Wednesday night, being faithful to the house of God. I tell you, I think I enjoy as much. Don't forget Sunday morning Sunday school, 10 o'clock. Sunday morning service, 11 o'clock. Sunday night service at 6 o'clock. All right? Colson, pray for us.